Hi everybody, Michelle McClunan here. I'm an astrologer and a life coach, and I'm bringing you an update on the next new moon, which is coming up soon, and the astrology around that period for the next week or two. The next new moon we have is on the 1st of February in the sign of Aquarius, and it's happening on the 1st in South Africa at about 7:45 a.m. in the morning. And if you live elsewhere, it might happen the day before, the evening before. So just have a look and see where you are and when the new moon is going to happen. So this is a very complex, kind of intense new moon, but it's really giving birth to something quite special. So I'm trying to unpack it for you. So whenever the sun and the moon come together, that's a time to start new, to start afresh, to plant new seeds, to set new intentions. So that's the energy of the new moon. So we always do it slightly after new moon. So if you're living in South Africa, you can do it in the evening of February the 1st, for example. So it's always a good idea to do it a little bit after, not before, because before that, you're actually letting go of the old cycle. So do it a little bit after that. So we have not only the sun and the moon in Aquarius, but also the two of them are in a conjunction, which means that they're aligned with the planet Saturn. And all of those three are in a square to the planet Uranus. So what this is doing is it's triggering the square that was happening all of last year. It's a replay of old energy, but to be navigated in an entirely new way. The other really big theme here, this new moon, is that we have Mercury, which is the planet of the mind, in a very close conjunction or alignment with Pluto. And Mercury is at the moment retrograde, which many of us might know because it generally can affect communications, technical glitches with websites and digital devices and that kind of thing. So if you haven't already, there's still time to back up your data. It's a good idea to do that and to kind of just roll with any technical hitches or glitches that come about at this time. The other part of Mercury retrograde, though, is that it's a time where we go back and we reassess, we relook at, and old patterns of thought and communication can come to the surface. When it's in a conjunction with Pluto, it's much more intense. So really, when you look at all of this energy combined without trying to separate stuff, it's really giving us a lot of clues. So first of all, the new moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign it's an air sign. It's a fixed air sign. It's what we call a fixed air sign. And air is basically communication. It's thought, it's thinking. And it also represents the breath. The sign of Aquarius represents freedom, liberation, anarchy, rebellion, higher consciousness. It represents getting out of the box of any conditioning and actually being liberated from those boxes. So what Pluto and Mercury do is they say, okay, what are the boxes? Because Mercury is a planet of the mind. So what happens at this new moon is conditioning can come up to the surface, our old conditioning. That might be from past lives, it might be from our early life, from our childhood, that old programming that is keeping us locked in a box or locked in a prison, locked in a perceptual prison. So what this new moon is saying is what is coming up for you at the moment that is an old pattern, an old perception, an old knee-jerk reaction, possibly coming up from authoritarian figures, because the place that Mercury is in is Capricorn, which relates to teachers, parents, authoritarian figures, governments, people who have written books that you might have read and then developed that as a perception. Those perceptions that have actually molded us and we actually connect with as our reality, those are all being challenged. And a lot of those perceptions are collapsing because we're realizing that they're not helpful and they're not real and they're not true. So what this new moon, and for the next few weeks, it's not just the new moon, it's almost like a stripping away of the old perceptions, and in so doing, allowing ourselves to liberate out of those boxes, out of the prison of perception. So if we have a perception that is hard and fast in our kind of DNA, it's there, we will tend to react off that perception. We'll tend to hold ourselves small if that's the perception that we've always had. If we've always had a perception of money doesn't grow on trees, or you're not good enough, or whatever it is, those perceptions might be coming up right now. Those fears might be coming up. We've got the sun and the moon in Aquarius, which is the free spirit, but it's right next to Saturn. Saturn represents fears and limitations, obligations. So where do we feel obligated to say what we are supposed to say, to do what we're supposed to do, to follow the rules, to follow the rules of either our own conditioning or our parental conditioning or our society's conditioning or the government's conditioning? So it's really quite accurate about what's going on, but it is quite intense. This will be the case. This intensity will carry on for about 3 months because Mercury is next to Pluto for the next couple of weeks. But then over the next few months, Mars and Venus, the masculine and the feminine, actually also come to a conjunction with Pluto. So this Plutonian kind of feeling is transformative. It's the stripping away. It's going beneath the surface. It's bringing out from the surface those patterns, those beliefs, those thought systems, those ideas that we have about value, about how we take our energy out into the world. It's bringing all that kind of stuff up to the surface so that we can see if it's actually even valid anymore. And we can clear away what we don't need, what we can let go of. So it's almost that we need to see the intensity as a good thing because it's exposing that which needs to be exposed so that we can liberate ourselves, which is what this age of Aquarius is all about, which is what this particular month is all about, because the sun and the moon are in Aquarius, which is liberating ourselves, becoming conscious, becoming more conscious. The mind, the rational mind, can be a prison. The mind is very useful when it comes to making decisions and saying, yes, that's right, that's wrong, that's good, that's bad, that's up, that's down, that's great. But when it becomes the master, it's an issue. So what this is about is actually beginning to identify those patterns that come up, the patterns of the mind, and allowing ourselves, it's giving us the opportunity to escape that box, those boxes, to actually lift the lid off and to exit the box, because it's only a perceptual box that we're stuck, that we're not good enough, that we're limited. This whole age of Aquarius is encouraging us all, it's pushing us actually to actually move into our true power. And what does that mean? It's to find our inner authority. It's to find our inner voice. It's to find our inner sense of, I am a sovereign individual. And these thoughts, these patterns, this conditioning doesn't serve me. So how do I step further into this co-creator that I actually am? This is about trusting our inner authority. How do we do that? We bring ourselves back to the present. We breathe. We go beneath the noise and we connect with an inner knowing, which is there all the time. I was given some really good advice this morning that if you see a wave or you feel a wave coming of chaos or emotion or overwhelm, see if you can go underneath the wave. And I love that. Go underneath the wave where it's calm and peaceful. And we always have that peace inside us. We can do that with the breath. So breathing in long, slow breaths. Breathing out long, slow breaths. Breathing out for longer than we breathe in actually slows down the parasympathetic nervous system. It calms the mind. The other thing that you can do is you can hold the breath at the top of the in-breath for a few seconds and then hold the breath at the bottom of the breath, because when we're not breathing, we're not thinking. So to stop just for a few seconds is to actually start to slow that mind down, and then we start to connect with what's true and what's real, and we can start to connect with our inner authority. This is really moving us into this state where we are really understanding, we're really feeling what we truly are, who we truly are. And this is the new paradigm. This is stepping out of the old. It can feel a bit scary though, because those old patterns, those old sense of security that we've always seen as being our perceptions, our beliefs, our security, our structures, those are no longer steady. Those are no longer stable. So it can kind of feel that we're in no man's land. We're not in the old, we're not in the new, we're in between, we don't know what's going on, we don't know how to plan, we're not quite sure how to navigate our way through this because it's completely new. And that's where community comes in. That's where friends come in. That's where communal time comes in. And that's where quiet time comes in as well. Quiet time to just be here now. This is what I can do right now. I can be here. And then from that place, make a choice, make a decision, take an action, as opposed to from this very heady place where we're running helter-skelter in a box. I almost see it intuitively as a red box. You've got this red box and you rushing around in a red box from corner to corner to corner, trying to make sense of everything. If you go underneath into the peace, or if you lift yourself out of the box, you can kind of see what needs to be done in this moment. Maybe not next moment, or maybe not in a month's time, but in this moment we'll be able to see what we need to do. So this is us entering into a new dimension of consciousness, and we are. And so whatever's coming up for you right now is not wrong. It's not bad. Whatever's coming up for you, even if it's hard, this is part of your learning. This is part of what you've signed up for to navigate. This is part of your soul's evolution. The human might not like it. The human ego will not like it. The mind will not like it, because the mind's function is to separate us. It's not to unify us. So what we're doing is we're moving into more unity with who we really are at a deep level. The card I pulled today is a card out of the Divine Feminine pack, because it's new moon, and I like pulling cards at new moon, because it's setting the scene for a month. And this card is called Freya, Freyja. And she's known as the goddess of discernment. So I'm just going to give you what it says when your soul selects this card. Obviously, she has a history, and she embodied the fierce and finely honed spiritual skill of discerning the most life-giving choice in each moment. So what the book says is that when your soul selects this card, discernment is derived from the Greek word diakrisis, or diakrisis, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It refers to spiritual power that allows you to distinguish between the spirits that will cause harm and the spirits that will assist you. It lets us discern when a phone call, an email, you can call it a news bulletin or whatever, a visit from a friend, is going to add to a day or is going to derail it. Discernment is the difference between feeling led by the day, pulling this way and that, and claiming it. Our time in this life, at least, is limited. Every second is significant. Freya reminds us of the searing perception we all have, but perhaps don't use frequently enough. She wants us to be discerning with how we choose to spend our time and who we choose to be with. She wants us to never ever say yes to anything or anyone from a place of fear or obligation. You get to choose the life you want to live. Use discernment so that you are only saying yes to what will actually nourish and renew you, inspire you, or expand you. It's not your business to worry about those you might disappoint. You were not made to meet everyone's expectations of you. You were made to express the truth of who you are and to use the brief time you have here to live out your potential. Nothing is obligatory except breathing. That's interesting. Nothing is obligatory except breathing. Your only true obligation is the voice of your own soul. Your only true obligation is to the voice of your own soul. Freya wants you to realize the gleaming gold that you are and act accordingly. She wants you to unapologetically choose the life you actually want to be living right now. She wants you to make your yes holy again by only using it when it's the truth. That's a really powerful card and very in keeping with the energy as I see it. Soul voice meditation. What does a hell yes, the holy yes, feel like in my body? Hell yes. What does that feel like? The intention. I spend my time wisely. I only say yes when it's a holy hell yes. So that's quite a powerful card. That's her there. Freya, the goddess of discernment. So what are we discerning? How do we discern? We discern by bringing ourselves back, by being in the moment, by feeling into our inner authority and acting and responding from that place in a loving way. In love, we're moving out of the head into the heart, into love, out of separation into unity. So while the world is polarized and separated, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter what your choices have been, no matter where you stand in terms of your decisions you've made, we get the chance, we get the choice to choose how we want to go forward. Do we want to be free? Do we want to be controlled? Do we want our every move to be mandated? Or do we want freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom of what we need to do with our bodies? That's a choice we can make no matter what decision you're making, is to move forward in community as people, as humans. So that's our choice. And that's where we get to discern our own truth. I hope that's helped you. And I wish you all the best for the new lunar month. We have started our Journey to Freedom course, which is so in keeping with this energy, I can't tell you. It's just so rich in terms of the energy right now. So you can still join us if you like. We started with a Zoom call last night, but you can catch up on that. The details are on journeysofawakening.com, and you can just click on Live Vision Week and join us for free for the first week. And if it resonates, you can join us for the full journey. There's never been a more important time to do this work and to connect with who we really are, because that's what we're moving into, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. And each of us has a role to play in the unfolding of a new earth. So join us. We also have an Inner Space month coming up where we're going to be looking at the power of perception. So we're going to be looking at this theme, obviously, because that's what's coming up for us. And I'm available for readings. I do have a bit of a wait because I've had a busy start to the year, but you're welcome to contact me and set up an appointment if you like. Lots of love and stay in your truth.